Hey guys, it's your boy S. It's another one of my list videos, so hope someone out there will enjoy it. I decided to mix it up and I was thinking of all these ideas, and as I've said before, when I go through things in list form, it's helped me to organise my thoughts. Otherwise, I sort of jump from one to another, and I sort of struggle to focus on one thing at a time. I'd love to be able to do more than one thing at a time, because I'm always trying to do so much, but I take too much on. But anyway, strive to be as positive as possible. I want to talk about my dreams to sports, my dreams, ideas, plans, goals, prayers, whatever, and all that sort of thing to support Africa in terms of software development. I know at the moment I said I've focused mostly on Asia, if you've seen my other videos, but in terms of technology, I still hope to support people in Africa. So anyway, I haven't really thought this through, so I'm hoping I won't waffle too much in it, and I'll get on and I'll come up with somewhat good ideas. But I know a lot of time, like, numbers sort of remind me. I not use certain numbers to remind me of certain things. So anyway, getting on with the list. As I say, I hope someone out there enjoys it, and if you are a charitable person and someone who wishes to support people in Africa, please give this video a like, thumbs up and all that, and share it, because hopefully if it does make enough to get monetized, I can donate that profit. And also the ideas themselves could help. Even if this video doesn't get monetized, other people can donate those profits. Other people can donate things from the ideas, or think it can inspire them to want to support people in Africa, to have ideas to support people in Africa. Anyway, number one, I hope for Africans to unite together and support each other and teach each other. And at the moment, like in isolation, because when COVID thing lockdown, you're not supposed to be here in the UK anyway. They say you're supposed to be 2 meters apart at least. So maybe like in their own room, in their own space, they can sit in their room and on either a PC or a laptop or a mobile, and or even if they could get a book about technology or whatever, they can stay away from other people as much as possible and just work on their tech development skills. So hopefully when COVID-19 is over, and even before then, they can still get jobs online, or they can still develop themselves. But I hope they'll practice for at least an hour a day, or as many as possible. Secondly, as I say, I hope for Africans to unite together, and people from the diaspora and friends of Africa, people who want to support Africa generally, anyone who wants to support Africa. And maybe the African leaders can say any country who wants to trade with Africa, for instance, Russia or Japan, or any of the other Asian nations, as well as Japan and China and India and all those countries and nations, or nations, countries, whatever you want to call them, they could say that if you're going to trade with us, you have to train up our youth in technology, so at least we have something that's tangible that will benefit us in the long run as well. So in effect, anyone who trades with Africa, they could say, we would like you to, in return to trade for us, you've got to train up our youth, especially, so they can get jobs and they can maybe even set up their own businesses. And also Africans teach each other, and as I say, people from the diaspora, or anyone who's maybe even people of colour generally, and I'd love to encourage as many people as possible, anti-imperialists, or people who are maybe even a way to tackle white supremacy by helping people in Africa. Number three, as I say, I normally have these lists and numbers that remind me of things, so I hope people will send freebies to Africa in terms of like training materials, whether that be books, if at all possible, mobile phones which they can use to access the internet, old PCs or laptops that people would normally throw away, or that can be remade to or rebooted, or whatever you call it. So you can probably tell I'm not that good at technology myself, but I'm just an ideas person. But they can use that stuff to learn also information, free information, such as like what websites, either on Google or just generally on YouTube, people can use to update their skills generally. Number four, I hope for Africans to come together and work in peace, and like in their tribal divisions and things like that as much as possible, and like a Pan-African network for advancing in technology. And I talked about supporting the fall and how I like right now I generally wish to support Asia, but what I call the four, I hope to support them in all the same sort of areas, except for technology, which I hope to support Africa more for, and also Indigenous Australasians, because Black people have been underrepresented in technology for so long, especially females. So I love to support African women, and there are some great groups out there who are already doing that sort of stuff. So I hope they can network together as well, and my ideas might help them to think from a new perspective. Like, for instance, the organizations which already support African tech or already support women in tech in Africa could sort of network together, and maybe they didn't think to network together, but they might think actually that's a good idea. So I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so they make peace as well, and mentors could then come into the country and train and teach people as well, and they can focus on working on technology to empower their continent together. Number 5, as I say, I hope trade between Asia and Africa. As an anti-imperialist, I hope they'll trade together and work together, and both will support each other in all areas. And Asia will especially support Africa in terms of technology, but both will support each other in politically and in terms of access to resources or markets or all sorts of things like that. Or again, political disputes or whatever, they'll support each other. But Asia will support African technology. For some reason, I've set a challenge that I want to support Africa specifically in technology. Whereas the other groups I wish to support in other areas as well. Instead. But yeah, so I don't know if that makes much sense, but it's like a quirky way my mind works. But yeah, I love Africans and people from the diaspora and Black people around the world, in other words, support Africa and Indigenous Australasians, and they can network together and teach each other, especially like they can teach each other online. So even during things like the lockdown, or even if they can't travel generally, or even if it doesn't, if it's not financially feasible to travel, or time-wise or whatever as well, they could still learn things online. So it creates more access to opportunities as well. And so, because so many things are technologically based, so I hope for Africans to really train up their youth and as many people as possible in Africa to have PCs, laptops, and mobile phones and whatever else they can use to access technology and training materials and things like that. 6, I hope to encourage companies that deal with technology to have as many bases and offices and training facilities across Africa as possible. 7, I don't know if you'll listen to me, but I hope God will bless these plans as much as possible and help me to reach and have my full potential and help Africa as much as possible. 8, I hope for people like who are anti-extremists or anti-supremacists, anti-imperialists, anti-colonialists, anti-empire people, anti-supremacists and people like that, people who are basically against white supremacy, will help Africa and technology as possibly a way to combat white supremacy and things like that. Again, I don't know if that makes sense, but number 9, I hope for Africa to prioritize technology as much as possible, and encourage people to learn about technology as much as possible. And as I say, Africans to as soon as possible, maybe even today or tomorrow, to learn about technology as much as they can, especially software and that sort of thing. And I think it'd be interesting if the next Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever, the next big tech titans, especially in software or programming or coding, or even the next teen millionaires, because so many people in the Western countries make money, and some become even millionaires even from when they're teens because of technology. So I'd love to think that the next, as I say, Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs or Paul Allen or Steve Ballmer or people like that, Larry Ellison or people like that, could be Africans, and maybe even females from Africa, or especially females from Africa. And I'd love to have as many Black women leading technology as possible, especially, as I say, in Africa and Australasia. And the reason why I'd wish to support them more than, say, black people, especially including black women in the West, like in the UK or the US or anywhere in Europe, is because when they pay their taxes, it can go back into their community. Whereas someone who does well in the West, who pays their taxes, it can go towards things like wars, like the Iraq War, things like that. So it doesn't necessarily go towards benefiting people of colour as much. In fact, a lot of time it might go against them. So because of things like I say, like the Iraq War. So, but I think this video will be a bit too long if I go into details about that sort of thing. But you can always ask me questions in the comments, and I'll try and answer them. And number 10, I hope to train people, or that people will be trained from the youngest possible age. I know there's like Andela in Africa, which I think does train people in Africa in technology, and it's supposedly the hardest. It's harder than I think it's even harder than Harvard to get into, supposedly. But I think by then it's like people already have to have the skills. Whereas if you train people from a younger age, then in the longer run, or when they're older, they'll already have those skills. As I hope this makes sense. If there's any points that I made that I went too fast or didn't make much sense or whatever, please ask me any questions in the comments or offer any advice, guidance, suggestions. Your own input is always welcome. Peace and love.